Greetings, viewers. Welcome. Today's poem is Schlechter, Lasker and 1910. The subject of the poem is 1910 World Championship match that was contested between Emmanuel Lasker and Karl Schlechter. To give some basic introduction about the players, Emmanuel Lasker is considered as one of the greatest players in the history of chess. He was a world champion for 27 years, and that's the longest by far. And Karl Schlechter, to talk about Schlechter, I think this is a world championship about Schlechter. Even though Schlechter lost this was majorly about him in a way that Schlechter was able to draw the match. It was a best of 10, but the final score was 5-5. But the rules was in such a way that if there was a tie in the score, then the world champion would retain the title, and that is how Lasker won the 1910 World Championship title. Again, Schlechter was considered as not a huge favorite. He was a kind of an underdog because Lasker was considered as a very strong player compared to Schlechter, and everybody appreciated the fight that was put up by Schlechter. The other interesting thing is Schlechter was considered as a gentleman, and he was also considered by many to be one of the hardest working players of that era. For instance, he wrote a book, he compiled, they're not necessarily writing, compiled a lot of ideas of books, ideas in his books about openings, which constituted to more than 1,000 pages. So he was working really hard, and it was a very tragic ending that took Schlechter's life. Schlechter passed away in 1918, and he died due to pneumonia and starvation. This is actually heart-rending because one of the strongest players who was so close to World Championship title. And the last thing that I want to tell before we proceed to the poem is that Schlechter was leading going to the last game. It was a best of 10, even though initially it was best of 30 that they had planned, and due to financial conditions, financial constraints, the match was decided that it would be best of 10. While going to the last game, 10th game, the score was 5-4 in favor of Schlechter, meaning that if he had drawn the last game, he would have become the world champion. But Schlechter risked everything and he lost the last game. And a lot of critics even today say that there was an internal rule that stated that Schlechter had to win the world championship match by a margin of 2 points. There is no proof regarding this, but a lot of them say that is the reason he risked everything. And if this was the case, then we can say that it was not completely fair for Schlechter. But again, being the gentleman that he is, he did not argue, he did not create any ruckus. Schlechter is Schlechter. That's why he's still considered as one of the gems of the chess world. Let us get into the poem then. The gentleman of chess was ready to compete against the champion who was considered complete. The resourceful Schlechter, reputed for precise defense, was quite eager to make his presence. The championship was so equally contested, the champion had mentally accepted his defeat. But like all great champions usually do, he somehow made it through. Schlechter, leading before the last game, almost nearing the enticing fame, risked everything and lost, and of course it did cost. The final score was 5 games each, the trophy being out of the challenger's reach. Was the regulations favoring the champion? One can ponder, one can just wonder. Schlechter passed away due to illness, with basic needs being unmet. His modesty, his humility made him an asset. Contesting valiantly with Lasker was a feat, but there was a minor twist of the deadly fate. Would he have lived if he had won the championship? Is a question that's hard to skip. The full poem is in the description. Do let me know what you feel about it through your comments and suggestions. Thanks for watching.